Hey, everybody, welcome back. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health. FYI, I am a licensed naturopathic physician. I completed my Bachelor of Science in Pre-Med at the University of Massachusetts in 1987, secured my naturopathic doctoral degree in 1991 from Bastyr University in Seattle. I became licensed to practice naturopathic medicine in 1992. Which means I have 25 years of clinical experience, because in naturopathic medical school you start working with patients in your sophomore year. That would be September of 1988. So since September of 1988 I've been working with patients. I've been licensed to practice medicine and have been holding down the fort with front trenches, private practice in naturopathic medicine since 1992. So I know of which I speak. I have a lot of clinical experience here. I've been around the track with medical nutrition, with homeopathy, with acupuncture, with all things holistic. And I'm a good person to talk to get an understanding and a good perspective on what's up with your health. Because from the proper perspective, everything makes sense, but the MDs do not bring the proper perspective to bear. They just don't. And, you know, I've used this example before, but I'll use it again because it's important to understand this. And people don't understand this basic concept, okay? You know, so one of the reasons for the cognitive dissonance here, one of the reasons that people continue to put the MDs up on a pedestal even though they fail us over and over and over again. In the province of Alberta in Canada, they spend it's between 45 and 50 million bucks a day to prop up the medical system. Well, why on earth is that? Because what's the most expensive type of medicine? The one that doesn't work, right? Right. But because it's a one-trick pony all around the world and the MDs rule the roost, that's all that the governments know. And, of course, the pharmaceutical companies are in cahoots with the government, and so everybody's in bed together, and they're not going to go away. But it's a problem. And, you know, the reason that they maintain the top dog status, even though they fail and are expensive as all get out, is because in the back of our minds we think that they actually practice science, that they're actually scientific. Well, here's what we don't understand about science. Now, the MDs are scientific. So am I. My profession exists to marry the scientific method with alternatives to drugs and surgery for treatment, for medical treatment, right? So science is as science does, and science is a wonderful thing, but science is a harsh mistress. And unless you get it right, you're going to be in the dark. If you miss one datum point, you're in the dark. So let's say you didn't know anything about gravity, and you had no clue about gravity. You had no understanding whatsoever about gravitational attraction, and that the greater the mass something has, the more gravitational pull it has. You had no understanding of that at all. So those data points relative to gravity were absent from your mind, okay? But you have a hankering to understand meteorology and astronomy. So every day you go outside, and at noon you measure the angle of the sun in the sky. And then, you know, every hour, starting after sunrise, you measure the angle of the sun in the sky. You have one of those sextants that the old-time mariners used to use, and you dial it right in. And you write down all your calculations and all of your data. And over the course of 365 days, you gather monstrous amounts of data which show you where the sun is at any time in the sky. And so you collect all of that data, you process all of that data, and you can reasonably predict where the sun is going to be, you know, at your latitude at any moment in time, and you'd be correct. But because you were missing the data points of gravity, you would then make the inaccurate assumption that the sun goes around the earth. I mean, I've got all the data to prove it. Look, I can tell you exactly where it's going to be. And look, stupid, it's the sun that's moving. It's not the Earth. What are you, stupid? I mean, any idiot can see it's the sun that's moving, right? But because you didn't know how big the sun was, how much mass the sun had, and because you didn't know how big the Earth was, and because you had no earthly idea, pun intended, of what gravity was, your understanding and assumption that the Earth moves around the sun is incorrect, even though you have all of this data to support it. Get it? Well, that's how the MDs are with health. They have collected all of these data points, right, about, that this blood level is associated with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and this X-ray is associated with osteoarthritis, and this ultrasound of the heart, these findings are associated with cardiomyopathy, heart disease, and so forth and so on. And they've got all of this mountains and reams of data, right? They have all these complicated names for diseases. Lots of data. But they've lost, or they're missing, a very important datum point. The very important datum point is that the human body knows how to fix itself. The human body wants to fix itself. The human body is a complex system of interrelated parts which is inhabited by a spiritual essence which brings intelligence to play. Our bodies are smart. Our bodies are imbued with divine spiritual intelligence. And this is not a religious conversation. This is a spiritual conversation. Whatever it is that brings light to your eyes, whatever it is that leaves the body at the moment of death, whatever it is, consciousness itself, right? There's a spiritual essence here that is immeasurable to modern science. And because nobody's dissected the soul out of the human body, to the MD, it does not exist. Because according to reductionistic philosophy, which the MDs are trained in, if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. So, to the MD, there's no spiritual force, there's no soul force, there's no intelligence, and consciousness is a function of biochemistry. And that when the body dies, it's lights out, everything's over, it's just nothingness. That your consciousness is a function of biochemistry, right? Every holistic physician in the world argues the alternate, that biochemistry is a function of consciousness. That consciousness comes first and the human body comes second, right? So, but in any event, because the MDs have thrown the baby out with the bathwater, because they have no ideation, no understanding, and no appreciation for the relationship of the body's intelligence to the maintenance and the operation of the physical body, their conclusions about the genesis of the disease process are completely wrong. And this is why they move the goalposts all the time, right? First they'll tell you that it's bad humors that cause disease, and then they're proven wrong. That's how George Washington was killed. They bled him to death. Because back in the day, the MDs thought that the only reason that people got sick was because of evil, bad humors in the body, and you could get those out of the body by bleeding the person. That's why one of the major medical journals in the world is called The Lancet, because that was the MD's main tool. They just bled people. Oh, isn't that great? Well, no, as a matter of fact, it wasn't. So then Louis Pasteur comes along, and it's all about germs, and that's the cause of disease, right? And then Watson and Crick come along, and they discover the structure of DNA, and then, it's all about genes, and genes are the root cause of all disease. And then that falls by the wayside. Now it's all about epigenetics, and, first it's these blood pressure numbers that are healthy, and now it's these blood pressure numbers that are healthy, and now it's these blood sugar numbers that are healthy, and now it's this cholesterol number that's healthy, and they move the ball all of the time. Because their philosophy is based on the shifting sands of shoddy science. The sifting sands of shoddy science. They have thrown the baby out with the bathwater by disregarding your body's built-in innate intelligence, and furthermore, by virtue of their education, the MD has no training, no experience, no respect, and quite frankly, no appreciation for the relationship between nutrition and disease. They don't know a damn thing about it. So, we've proven it 4 times in the past, 3 times in the past. The disease rickets is caused by a vitamin D-like David deficiency. Spina bifida is a folic acid deficiency. Scurvy is a vitamin C deficiency. And, of course, iron deficient anemia is an iron deficiency illness, right? So we know, and goiter are iodine deficiency. So we know from a historical perspective that there is an intimate relationship between nutrient deficiencies and the genesis of the disease process. You would think that the MDs would want to focus on that and run with that ball, but they do not. They have no earthly idea at all of the relationship between nutrition and the genesis of disease. And lack of nutrition is the root cause of all chronic diseases. Lack of nutrition is the root cause of all chronic diseases. Linus Pauling said it best. 2-time Nobel Prize winner. You can trace every chronic disease back to a mineral deficiency. Period. So let's say that I'm correct and that heartburn is caused by a calcium deficiency and a deficiency in salt. If you have heartburn, you don't have a bad gene, you have a bad doctor, and you don't have enough calcium in your body and you don't have enough salt. If that's correct, then when you give your body salt and calcium, you should expect the heartburn symptoms to disappear and go away, which is exactly what happens all of the time. But because the MD is not aware of this relationship, the MD gives antacids and proton pump inhibitors, and do those fix the nutrient deficiencies? No. They just manage the symptoms. I mean, you could give antibiotics and surgery and antibiotics and surgery and antibiotics and surgery to someone with scurvy, but they're going to die. You give them vitamin C, it goes away. And this is what we know and nobody else knows, and this is why everybody is sick. For goodness sake, if everybody recovered from type 2 diabetes in the United States, we'd balance the federal budget in one flippin' year. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, taking it to the streets through the Internet. Check out the live video stream, why don't you? The DrGlidden show, the drglidden.show.tv. Kathy from
Mississippi?
MISSISSIPPI?
Yes, sir. I just want to tell you it's such a joy and a delight and a great, great blessing, Dr. Glidden. I just thank you so much for what you do.
Kathy, it's very kind of you. I appreciate the positive strokes always. I'm so glad you called. How can I help?
My most precious dear friend, who is 63 years old, is having much trouble breathing. And when she lays down, she says it feels like water is filling her back and lungs, and it makes it more difficult even to breathe. She also has high blood pressure and extreme difficulty sleeping and is constantly fatigued, exhausted, and catches flu-like and virus symptoms often. She also has difficulty walking due to a serious knee injury and surgery the doctor blotched, and her feet hurt her constantly, making it almost impossible at times to walk. Her thyroid activity is basically nil, the doctor said. Her heart and chest hurt. She suffers memory loss and confusion at times, being unable to understand where she is at the moment and how to go where she was going. Also, her throat has no visible lumps or bumps, but when she swallows, she can always feel the invisible lumps, bumps. Her throat hurts and feels uncomfortable. After drinking Longevity 90 for Life liquid minerals, her throat feels better within about 30 minutes. She has had headaches all her life, even migraines, until relief lately on Beyond Tangerine Peach Fusion and Osteo FX and Gluco Gel. Praise God and Longevity forever for such products for relief. What other products does she need, please, sir? She weighs about 235 pounds and is 5 feet 3 inches. Thank you so much for advising us.
All right, Kathy. All right. So, look, we need to not overlook the obvious here, right? I mean, this woman's been under the care of conventional medical doctors her entire life. She's been paying medical insurance premiums her entire life.
Yes.
Social Security stuff, Medicare. I mean, and she's the poster child for a complete and utter failure of the medical system because while she's been under the care of the MDs, her health has gone to hell in a handbasket. It has. And it's not her fault. It's her medical doctor's fault, because somebody's got to be at fault. And whose fault is it? Well, it's the people that are in charge of her health care. For goodness sakes. I don't know why we just can't all rally around this flag and just call a spade a spade. If you are in a state of ill health, it's your doctor's fault. Somebody has to be responsible for that. And it's our medical care practitioners, because they don't practice health care. They practice disease management. This is what you get when you manage disease. You get worse and worse, and worse and worse and worse. So, this sounds to me like congestive heart failure. Has she told you that they ruled that out?
No, sir.
All right. So first of all, we need to know what we're up against. And, honestly, I'm not that impressed, quite frankly, with the diagnostic capability of most of the MDs that I've met. But every once in a while, you'll get a smart MD who knows their game and who is a good diagnostician. This sounds to me like congestive heart failure. It could also be a pneumonia condition, or she needs to get that figured out and dialed in. So she needs to get this lung filling up with water sensation figured out post-haste, because if it is pneumonia, we have to intervene in a certain way, and if it's congestive heart failure, we go another way. But in any event, the stuff that she's done so far is producing results, and so we just need to tighten up the program a little bit and see if we can't get a little more leverage with her health and wellness here. So what my recommendation would be for her overall, nutritional support for her body would be two Healthy Start Pack 2.0 liquids. 2 Healthy Start Pack 2.0 liquids per month. 2 Healthy Start Pack 2.0 in the liquid form per month. 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium per month. 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Capsules per month. And 5 bottles of Liquid Glucogel Plus per month. 5 bottles of Liquid Glucogel Plus per month. And I'd also like her to see her on the Root Beer Belly. I'd like her to take 2 boxes of Root Beer Belly a month. I'd like her to take 1 box of Root Beer Belly at night before bed and 1 box of Root Beer Belly first thing in the morning. And last but not least, D-Stress. 1 bottle of D like David Stress per month. Of course, eliminate the 10 bad foods, salt her food appropriately, and eat a diet that is extremely high in cholesterol. Keep your fingers. So, just the other day, I showed my IT people my empty coffee mug, and I told them I just finished installing Java. Let's go to Florida and talk to Graciela. That's a pretty name. Hey, Graciela, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. Thank you so much for taking my call.
What's happening?
I've been taking the Health Start Pack plus a bottle of selenium a month for 3 months now. And one thing that I would like to know is for my vision, which is just like blurry when I try to read a book, and is there anything else I could take, or if I just keep taking that, eventually will get better? Hopefully.
Well, Dr. Wallach was able to change his prescription in his eyeglasses because his vision got better while on the medical nutrition. He still needs glasses, but his vision got better. So you never know how far back the vision's going to come, unless... So the reason that people can, see things at a distance and not read up close, or be able to read up close but not see things at a distance or whatever, is because the muscles around your eyes get weak. And it's interesting to talk about. This is a fascinating part of anatomy, but it's kind of it's a ghoulish metaphor, or it's a ghoulish example. But if you dissect somebody's head, after they're dead, and look at the anatomy of the eye, the eyeball is surrounded by these tiny muscles, and they're like small as elastic bands. They're the smallest muscles in your body, and It's the muscles, of course, that make your eyes move, that make you able to look to the side, look up, look down. But there are also muscles that wrap around the eyeball, which squeeze the eyeball and focus it. And so when and it's a muscle, just like any other muscle in the body, and muscles can get weak for whatever reason, and so you can also strengthen the muscles, right? That's how bodybuilders get giant muscles. It's because they do specific exercises to strengthen specific muscle groups. Well, in addition to medical nutrition, which is a mandatory thing to do to support eye health, right? There is a series of exercises that people can do, the intention of which is to specifically strengthen the eye muscles. Yeah, pretty interesting. The same way, you do push-ups or sit-ups. Well, there's things you can do to exercise your eye muscles. Pretty cool. Honestly, I don't know why more people don't know about this, but there was a doctor, I think, in the 50s or the 60s. He wrote a book called The Bates Method of Vision Recovery. B-A-T-E-S. B like baby. A-T like Thomas, E-S, the Bates Method of Vision Recovery. Go to Amazon.com, do a search for that book. I think it's out of print. But if you can find yourself a copy, it walks you right through specific eye exercises that you can do, for 5 or 10 minutes every day. And if you do that, I would expect your vision to improve dramatically. I've always wanted to try that. But for some reason, I just have never been able to dial in the discipline to get that done. I've got too many other things to do, or at least that's a mental excuse that I put up. So I'd be very interested to find what somebody's experience was with the diligent application of the Bates method, in addition to longevity. So if I were you, Graciela, that's what I would do. Okay?
Right. I actually heard that this book went out of print because it was really working, and the doctor didn't like that.
Yeah. Well, that's probably there's probably a lot of truth in that. So I'd hunt around. Go to the longevity support groups on Facebook. Go to Amazon.com and, use the web to try to dial in a copy. I don't have a copy. Otherwise, I'd lend it to you. But in any event, if you can find a copy of that book, go for it and let me know what happens.
Right. I just sent I'm from Brazil. I just sent to my brother because he had a detached retina. So I saw one of your videos about that, and I sent that package for him according to his body weight. So I'm curious to see what's going to do to his eyes, because he ended up actually having a surgery because the doctors just terrorize him, say, if you don't do it today, you're never going to see again.
Yeah, I know.
So he did. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Well, me too. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen. And, I think people in Brazil need a little bit of good news right now, huh?
Yes. Tell me about it. That's a touchy subject right now.
Oh, come on now. What part of Brazil are you from?
I'm from Belo Horizonte, which is Central West.
Yeah. Yeah, I've long time ago, I dated a woman from Brazil, and she spoke very little English, and I tried to learn Portuguese. I couldn't do it, though. I find Portuguese a very, very difficult language, and I think anybody that's bilingual, and, one of the languages is Portuguese, I have a lot of respect for that, because I'm telling you, man, it is not the easiest language in the world to learn.
No, even for us, I'm telling you.
Well, there you go. All right. Keep us posted as to what transpires here, and I'll look forward to it. Thanks so much for the phone call. New York is up next. Looks like Rosie wants to talk to us. Hey, Rosie, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Good afternoon. I was referred to you from a coach named Cosmo.
Oh, yeah.
I have two situations. I fell down the stairs. They said I have an ACL tear and meniscus tear where the main ligaments were making for pivot. That is completely severed. And I wanted to know what to do concerning that. And I went through cancer and chemo radiation, and that's gone. Praise the Lord. So I'm on the road for, better managing my health. And I went through diabetes, and I want to manage my health, and for my grandson.
Okay, so do you have diabetes, or does your grandson?
Me, they diagnosed me with diabetes as well.
Type 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a lot of success with optimizing blood sugar levels in the human body with medical nutrition. There was research published in 1958 that proved there was a direct relationship between a mineral called chromium and funky blood sugar. Like if the body did not have enough of the mineral chromium, then type 2 diabetes would develop. And if you put the chromium back in the body, the type 2 diabetes went away. So we've been, at the tip of the spear of educating people about the relationship between medical nutrition and healthy blood sugar levels. Now, we don't make any claims, but it is my clinical experience that medical nutrition is drop-dead positive, develops drop-dead positive results with blood sugar that you can measure objectively with lab work. So in order to get that job done, how much do you weigh?
I'm 243. How much sodium I need to take?
How tall are you?
5'6".
Yeah, so you're about 100 pounds overweight, right?
But I have big bones. If I'm skinny, I look real. You would not.
All right, so you're 50 pounds overweight. And look, it's not your fault. The reason that people gain weight, it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you don't exercise. It's not because you have a bad gene. It's not because your stomach's too big. It's not because of anything other than your medical doctor is an idiot, and they have no idea what's going on. The only thing that makes people gain weight is we eat too many calories. And it's the only thing. I mean, there was nobody in the death camps of World War II that was overweight. Nobody. It doesn't matter what their health condition was. It doesn't matter their age, their sex, their pre-existing health condition, or whatever. If you don't eat, you lose weight, period. So if you gain weight, it's because of too many calories and consistent consumption of food that causes inflammation. So what makes people eat too many calories? Their bodies are nutritionally starved. Your body has wisdom. The MDs don't understand this, but your body does have wisdom. Your body knows that it's running low on calcium. It knows it's running low on magnesium and zinc and vitamin A and vitamin B and vitamin C. And when your body recognizes that its nutritional tank is running on empty, it makes you eat in the desperate attempt to fill the nutritional tank up. But the food that you're eating doesn't have the nutrients that your body needs. So your body drives you to eat a lot of food, and you do eat a lot of food, but because there's no nutrition in the food, 4 hours later you're hungry again. And so we eat too many calories every day, not because we're lazy, not because we have the fat gene, but because our bodies are nutritionally starved, and nobody knows it except us. Now, interestingly enough, nutritional deficiencies are also related to blood sugar issues. So you have nutrient deficiencies. You have chronic undiagnosed nutrient deficiencies. You've had them your whole life, and they are, in my opinion, at the root cause of everything that's bothering you. Now, ligaments and tendons, right, have a breaking point. I mean, even Superman had a breaking point, right? So you can apply a certain amount of stress to a ligament, tendon, bone, or joint. The bone's going to break. The ligament's going to tear. The tendon's going to rip, no matter how strong or healthy it is. So sometimes ligament and tendon damage is just life, right? It was too much stress to the ligament, tendon, and it ripped or tore. You're in an automobile accident or whatever. But other times, the ligaments and tendons tear not because the stress was too much, but because they were weak to begin with. And, a little bit of stress made them tear or rip, whereas if they were healthy, that would not have happened. But if it's a complete tear, there's nothing that's going to fix that besides surgery, if it's a complete tear. If it's a partial tear, you can fix that with medical nutrition. If it's a complete tear, then the only thing that's going to fix that is surgery. However, the surgery is not going to address whether or not the ligament or tendon was weak in the first place. So it would be prudent for you for 5 or 6 months to give your body nutritional support for the ligaments and tendons, in addition to comprehensive nutritional support, for your weight and your blood sugar. Because, your ligaments and tendons probably are weak. And that's probably why they popped. So, at your body weight.
Down the stairs.
How many stairs?
10.
Yeah, 10. So that's, it was probably that. So, all right. So here's what I'm going to recommend you do for 90 days. And then you want to look to see what gets better. So your weight and your blood sugar, your energy, your mood, your sleep, your appetite, your sex drive, everything right across the board, because it's a comprehensive, holistic intervention. So the recommendation for you would be 2 healthy body start pack 2.0, 2 healthy body start packs 2.0 in the liquid form. It's a long name, I know. It's called the Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 in the liquid form. You need 2 of those. You need 3 bottles of Ultimate Sweeties, 3 bottles of Sweeties, and 4 bottles of Selenium. 4 Selenium, 3 Sweeties, and 2 Healthy Start Pack 2.0 in the liquid form. Yeah, man. That's how we do it. Here's what I want you to do. Go to drglidden.com. drglidden.com. Become an insider. Click on the Be an Insider tab. Check out the details of my online subscription service. As an insider, you'll have access to over 100 hours of archived health webinars that will explain to you from the naturopathic point of view, from the holistic point of view, why these diseases develop and how the MDs think they develop and how we think they develop and how the MDs manage it and what we recommend to treat it. What we recommend to do to support and promote your body's ability to optimize its structure and function. Because knowledge is ultimately power, and in this case, life-saving information. Rosie had one more question, I think. Hey, Rosie, I think you had one more thing you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, my grandson, they said he have autism. He hasn't spoken one word, and he's going on to be 5 soon. Yeah.
So we believe autism is a birth defect caused by bad nutrition in the blood of the pregnant mother. And in that regard, it's the obstetrician's fault, because it's the obstetrician's job to make the mother healthy during pregnancy. But that's impossible to do unless you have a grounding in clinical nutrition, which the obstetrician does not. And because the obstetrician doesn't know anything about new-fashioned, science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition, the obstetrician's advice will be old-fashioned, outdated, and ineffective, and that's why there's so much autism. We also believe it's related to chronic wheat consumption by the younger generation. The younger generation eats wheat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and wheat is a big bad voodoo daddy. Wheat consumption, gluten consumption specifically, hampers the body's ability to absorb nutrients. The food that we eat doesn't have enough nutrients in it anyway. So the more whole grains somebody eats, the less nutrified their body becomes, and then they get pregnant. The child is growing up inside an under-nutrified environment and is born with some type of a birth defect, or on the autism spectrum, which we believe is a birth defect caused by bad nutrition in the blood of the pregnant mother. It's not the mother's fault, because it's not the mother's job to know this. It's the doctor's job to know this. So, it's called the autism spectrum for a reason, and sometimes children that are autistic, when we clean their diet up and give their body the proper nutrition, that there's remarkable improvement. Sometimes there's a little bit of improvement, and sometimes there's a medium amount of improvement. You never know. The child's body needs nutrients anyway. So this is kind of like never fail fudge. So the recommendation is for both the mother and the child, right? Everybody in this family needs to stop eating the 10 bad foods. Everybody in the family needs to stop eating the 10 bad foods. That list is free on my website, drglidden.com. They all need to stop eating the 10 bad foods. The child needs to eat a diet that's high in cholesterol. And the best way to do that is with eggs. Chicken eggs, quail eggs, duck eggs, I don't care. Eggs, butter, not margarine. Eggs, butter, salt. Food that's high in cholesterol would be beneficial to this child because his brain is made from cholesterol and his body needs more. Now, once we've got the food stuff dialed in, the child also needs nutrition. And if he were my child, what I would give him is one healthy brain and heart pack and one selenium, one healthy brain and heart pack and one selenium and one bottle of Cherry Mints, one healthy brain and heart pack, one selenium and one bottle of Cherry Mints per 100 pounds of body weight per month. Eliminate the 10 bad foods, eat a diet that's high in cholesterol, and pray for success. Never hurts to, get a little bit of divine assistance in every walk of your life. And like the fella said, if you don't ask, it ain't going to happen. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health, thanking you again for spending 2 hours of your day with me. I hope you learned something. I do every time. From you, the callers, remember, this is a grassroots coalition of the informed. We need to hold each other up and lift our families, friends, church members, and communities into the undiscovered country of medical nutrition. Live long and prosper.